Hi, my name is Danielle, and I work at Skillins Greenhouses in Falmouth, Maine, and today we are going to be covering how to put together a terrarium. And so first you want to start with a clean vessel. I have this one, and as you can see, other options, and really any sort of glass container will do just fine. And you want to start with the drainage, and I have some grow stone, which we have right here. You can also use regular stones, river stones. I like the grow stone because it's recycled glass, it's very porous, and it's incredibly lightweight, which I think is kind of a key factor when you're making these things. So we are going to add a good amount. This drainage is pretty key with terrariums since the water has no place to go. Starting there. And second, I'm going to be adding charcoal just around the perimeter, just to kind of, and it looks a lot better that way, because you don't need a full layer of it. And this is to kind of clean the water that filters down, and it also takes care of any random smells that might naturally happen when kind of creating an enclosed ecosystem. Alright. And so third, we are going to add sphagnum moss. I have over there. And I've moistened it already. And I'm going to wring it out. And you want this because it's going to create a barrier between the soil and the rocks to give it a more clean look. And you do want a solid layer of this. And then just pat it down a bit. Then I will be adding the soil. And you want a soil that doesn't have any sort of fertilizers in it, because you don't want to be adding, you don't want the plants to grow more than they need to in a terrarium so they don't outgrow it. Then you are ready to add your plant. We have a list of terrarium-friendly plants that you can choose. The options are really endless. If you want to go the succulent route, I would just recommend having an open terrarium because they do not appreciate the humidity. If you do have a terrarium that has a top on it, you just really want to make sure it's a plant that's more friendly to humidity, like ferns and mosses. I'm going to break up the root ball so it fits better in the terrarium. So I've really broken it down quite a bit, still leaving, a good chunk of the original root ball left. And then with your hand, just kind of making a little drench in there. And then patting down the soil around it to make sure that the root system is having good contact with the soil. And it's good to not overcrowd your terrarium because you have to keep in mind that they are going to, the plants that is, they are going to grow. The terrarium is going to get humid, so you don't want the foliage touching the side to rot. And then I'm going to be adding some moss, which is optional ultimately. but I think it adds a really nice, fresh look to it. I'm just kind of going around the fern. It's important that you mist the moss daily to keep it fresh looking. And then once you have that in place, with a little spritz bottle, it helps to get the soil off the side by spraying it down. And then we can kind of wipe it down with a cloth. And then you're ready for the top. And they make great accents. And terrariums are incredibly convenient for people who are having a hard time keeping humidity in their houses, or people who have small space and they want a nice, green accent. And there you have it, your own little ecosystem that you get to take home with you. So when creating a tropical terrarium, and by tropical I mean one that has a lid on top, you want to be using plants that are going to thrive in humid situations, like the baby tears, the club moss, the mini African violets, pretty much any type of fern, the phoetonias, the paillas, the ivies, the arrowheads, the creeping figs. There's a wide variety. You just want to make sure it's going to be something that thrives in humidity and isn't going to grow obscenely large. And if it does, like you can see the artillery fern here is already getting pretty big, you just can pinch them back. It is also obtainable to create succulent terrariums, and you just want to make sure that it's an open top, because things like succulents and herbs are not going to thrive in humidity. Johnny, what do you think of my terrarium?
I think it's lovely.
Yeah!
Yeah!